All over our cities, along our coastlines and across our green and pleasant land, an invisible army is fighting a never-ending war. Their enemy is the filth that we create and the vermin that thrive on it. Welcome to the hidden world of the Grimefighters. On Grimefighters tonight, pest controller Pete uncovers a few cockroaches.
Leaving with them, I'm going home, I'm going back to lorry driving.
Extreme cleaners John and Kev give up.
You're fighting a losing battles. Every week it's like this.
Litter picker Lou's fishing trip gets off to a bad start. And sewer team Bill and Simon fall out.
Pass my friend the rod over there, like that.
In Barking, Pete, the council's pest controller, has been called out to a 3-bed house to catch up with some of his regular punters, German cockroaches. The tenant has reported seeing more and more during the day, which in itself doesn't bode well. If the cockroaches are cruising about in the daylight hours, it means that as they're normally nocturnal, the infestation could be huge. On first inspection, Pete's prognosis is somewhat concerning.
I would say a good few hundred. I would say. Especially if you come at night. Only because I can see by the stages of the nymphs on the top here. They're just running everywhere. If you see them during the day, walking around in cupboards and all that, you will have a problem. I'll guarantee that once I pull these out, that there should be a fair amount because it's warm and it's dark. It's a good hiding place for them.
Before Pete delves behind the white goods, he administers pinprick-sized blobs of poison in the dark recesses of the worktops and the cupboards. This poison is utterly delicious to the cockroach, and as cockroaches are also cannibalistic, secondary poisoning will knock out loads more as the others eat the carcasses. But time now to see what's behind the fridge.
Right, basically what I want to do is, seeing the numbers of cockroaches, I will be surprised if we ain't got a lot behind here. So I want to try and pull them out on these and have a look behind them.
But nothing can prepare Pete for what's lurking in the dark.
This is one of the worst I've ever seen.
With an infestation of this magnitude, Pete's going to have to use the whole arsenal of poisons available to him to even stand a chance of getting the upper hand. Across the borough in Dagenham, Simon and Bill, one of the council's sewage clean-up teams, have also arrived at their first job of the day. Simon's regular partner, the old master himself, Terry, is off sick for a few weeks, so Simon's got his hands full with new partner Bill.
Terry's off for a few days.
No, he's wandering.
Oh, he's wandering still. Oh yeah, he's still wandering. He'd better hurry up and come back and do some work. Mind you, it's gave me a chance to be on the telly, innit?
Yeah.
Thank you, Terry. So kind.
Not only has Simon got landed with Bill, this blockage at some flats has the potential to be a nightmare, as there are so many properties that the boys might have to gain access to find where the pipes are blocked. Best to have a look under a few accessible sewer covers, all of which seem to be blocked. The diagnosis is that all roads lead to a back garden in a house next to the block of flats. The key is to get access to the garden and to clear what's called an interceptor, or the crossroads where all the sewers meet. There's just one problem, no one's answering, but for Bill, these challenges are what it's all about.
It's always a challenge. Every job's a challenge because you're always constantly using your brain. Well, working the council, we don't normally have a brain, but but some of us have. I just love my job. I don't like the blokes I work with, don't tell them though.
Oh dear. You're wrong, aren't you?
Press don't like the look of me.
With Bill left realising that the person's not in, hence why they won't open the door to him, and the risk of raw sewage flooding back into some 50 flats, Simon calls up Bree, one of the environmental health officers, who can try and get the homeowner to allow them access.
Environmental health will be here in 5 minutes.
Nice young lady with lots of powers. We ain't got none. Because we're the underdogs. We're just small people. We're just the dirty workers.
So it's just Simon's luck that he'll have to wait with Bill till Bree turns up. In Wolverhampton, Lou and Dave, the city's proudest litter pickers, are on their daily rounds keeping the city rubbish-free. After a hard morning's picking, Lou's found a fly tip that'll come in handy.
Having 5 minutes break, lads. We'll clear this up.
The fly tip comprises of a huge bag containing what looks like the contents of a child's bedroom and the rather decorative sofa.
Little dolly. David, do you want this dolly to take home?
No, thank you.
No, you're all right.
Before they deal with the sofa, best to get the bag of clothes on the van.
1, 2, 3, and it's gone.
Lou may have seen all this before, but it doesn't stop him getting slightly frustrated.
Look at this. You buy settees today, normally where you buy a new settee from, they'll take it back. But this is the general public. They're not all the same. Just, I can't understand why they've done that. When the council, if you give a ring, they will come and collect it.
Once the sofa is safely aboard, Lou and Dave can move on for a little bit more litter picking, and as always, a good opportunity for a little banter with the public.
Come on there, kid, how you doing? All right? No punches this week. That ain't been on police 5, has it, that scooter? You'll be all right then. Have a nice day here, kid. Yeah, we have a bit of a laugh with the public. David's always telling me jokes. He never stops. Look, he's even doing a dance there with a plank of wood. Go on, David, go for it. Whee! Look at him.
It may not seem it, but Lou wants to get this alley cleared as soon as possible, because today he's off to indulge in his passion for a spot of fishing.
This is my passion. Fishing comes second. We better not tell the wife that. She comes first, really. Yeah, I do like fishing. It's what you work for, don't you? And if you've got a bit of interest, it's half the battle. You come out to work, you earn a few bob, and you can go and spend it then, and on your own leisure. You must have leisure time.
With the alley looking sparkling and the van loaded, Lou can now knock off and head to the lake. Embarking after moving the fridge in the kitchen, pest controller Pete is shocked how bad the infestation of cockroaches really is.
It's one of the worst I've come across for the sheer number of adults.
Against this huge number of cockroaches, his syringe full of poison is somewhat pointless on its own. He needs something more immediate. Time to evaluate a plan of action.
So what we're going to do, I'm going to put some sticky white rope traps down so they run straight in and they get stuck on it. By tomorrow, he most probably might have 50, 60, maybe 100 in there, which means that's better than just using the poison. It's just a quicker way of zapping them.
The sticky pads attract the cockroaches to the bait in the centre, but they get stuck on the cardboard surrounding the bait, so hopefully that way the numbers can be reduced in a matter of hours. So with the sticky trap laid, best to confront what's behind the second fridge. What is revealed is Pete's worst nightmare. Literally hundreds more roaches in all states of development, from adults to young nymphs of all sizes. This infestation is getting out of control, and Pete could be close to giving up.
Leaving with them, I'm going home, I'm going back to lorry driving. Basically, we know the problem, we can see the problem, we just got to get on top of the problem.
Pete's got to act fast as they're multiplying before his very eyes.
As you can see, you got a pair there mating. So we end up with another 30, 40 babies, which I don't think really matters to him at the moment after seeing all this lot up here and round there. If someone's got a phobia of insects, then, you know, they would have to move out. There's no way they'd live in this house.
If what was behind the fridge is horrendous, the only bit of good news is the sticky pad is almost immediately having an effect.
Just a minute ago, you see me bait this up and pull it down there. If we open this up, and that is in a space of how many minutes? Minute and a half, 2 minutes.
After really taking stock of the situation, Pete feels he has no option now but to wheel in the big guns. Let's hope this insecticide will allow him to at least start winning the battle on the thousands of roaches. Just across town in Dagenham, Bree, the environmental health officer, has arrived to help sewage teams Simon and Bill.
This is Bree, the environmental health officer. She's come here to sort our problem out for us.
After a quick explanation of how they need to gain access to the garden of the house, Bree decides, using all the powers available to her, that the best form of attack is to drop a card through the letterbox and wait for the woman to call her. So it's just left to Bill to cap the dead-end job off with another slight indiscretion.
I've just stepped in some doggy poo and I'll stink.
There's a joint decision to cut their losses and get on to the next job. Hopefully the woman will get in touch with Bree before the situation deteriorates any more, and Simon and Bill can eventually get into her garden and clear the blockage. In Leicester, like all our cities across the UK, the scourge of fly tipping is the #1 priority for the councils to deal with. Today, Environmental Health Officer Alison and her crack clearance team are going to sort out a revolting alleyway behind a row of houses that's been filled with all manner of household detritus.
What we've got here is an alleyway which serves 6 houses. We've written to all the occupiers of all 6. It is their responsibility to get it cleared, and we gave them 14 days in which to get it cleared. Nothing has been cleared. There's been no attempt by any of them to clear it.
No one but the perpetrators know who left the rubbish, so unfortunately the 6 householders are responsible for its removal. So now it's down to John and Kev to wade in and sort out the problem, and the residents are going to get a nice little bill for all their hard work. Even though it's frustrating clearing these fly tips, Kev always looks on the bright side.
Keeps us in work. Simple as that. The more they throw away, the more we work.
But you're fighting a losing battle. Every week it's like this.
Yeah.
Once you clear it, it'll be the same next week and the week after.
But working in these tight conditions poses other problems.
It isn't going to be easy getting this out, but we're used to it and we do it every day. You can't get his wheels down. No. So there's another hazard, you see. We've got these problems. All the fluids, but we'll have to carry it out.
But with no trolley to get the heavy stuff out, this job could be a long one. Coming up in part 2, Simon and Bill have better luck with the sewers. Pete unleashes his secret weapon, Lou gets his rod out, and the boys get to grips with the fly tip. Throughout the country, an army of professionals are continuing to dedicate their daily lives to waging war on the nation's grime. In Wolverhampton, litter picker Lou has left the unending struggle against the city's grime behind and is indulging in his favourite passion for fishing, but the trip doesn't get off to the best of starts. For Lou, these lakes on the outskirts of Wolverhampton are paradise. Armed with the latest fishing gear, now safely transported to its resting place in a prime position on the lake, Lou can start to get his rods out and forget about the daily stress.
If I don't catch a fish, the old saying is, all the gear and no idea.
It takes Lou a while to admit that he was actually once a match fisherman, and the chances of catching a load of fish today are weighted heavily in his favour.
Oh yeah, this is lovely. This is relaxation at its best. Obviously, if you're match fishing, it's all go, but I don't match fish now. I've just taken it in my stride. Nice leisurely fishing, just lovely. Look at the weather, eh? What more could you ask for?
But it's a bit early in the day's proceedings for Lou to totally switch off.
You must always remember that when you're fishing. Take your litter home. I don't want it at the pool, and they certainly don't. Keep it tidy, and they'll always let you come back and fish again.
In Dagenham, southeast London, there's no chance of a break for Simon and Bill. They've moved on to their next job, along with Bree to keep them company, or just to keep an eye on Bill, who's still got a little whiff about him from the dog poo he stood in.
I smell something. Could be you.
It could be me.
Go and stand.
You can't do that to me. It's not very nice to talk
No,
to me
I'm
like
not
that.
asking you to stand over there.
The tenant of the house has also reported a strong smell, but this one's coming from her drains, so up to the boys to investigate further.
The lady next door is complaining of the smell coming up. So what we're going to do now, we're going to check this drain here, see if it's full, and then what we'll do afterwards, we're going to knock 2 doors down and find out if they're up, and see if the smell's coming in with it.
So it's time to get reacquainted with an old friend. The sewer run is obviously blocked. It's now left to Bill to finally get his tools out to try and free the blockage.
Right, what I'm going to do now, I've got a 6-inch plunger. It's very good. I'm going to put it down into the interceptor, because as you can see it's full. I'm going to try and give it a couple of push to try and free it.
After a quick shifty with the plunger, the pipe may seem clear, but Bill's got Simon to bring the van round so he can give the run a quick jet, a job that often renders Bill smelling even worse than he does now.
You're talking to the bad man who always gets covered. When you're jetting at full pelt, you get all the water coming back at you, and if you hit it at the wrong spot, bingo, you get everything.
In Leicester, Kev and John are making good progress with the clearance of the fly tip in the alleyway. But with all their hard work, the days are over for anyone bothering to appreciate what they're doing and sort them out a quick cuppa.
In this day and age, you just thought someone, it's raining, it's a dirty job, someone would nip out with a cup of tea for you. On the council, all them years ago, there'd be 4 or 5 people out offering you a drink, but now it's very rare.
So no danger of a cuppa, but there are other potential dangers lurking in the rubbish.
Another danger is the rats as well, but I ain't seen one yet, but I'm expecting 1 or 2 in a minute. I'm not a fan of rats or mice.
So it's just left to the lads to keep their spirits up themselves, and John's fear of rodents is always a good place for Kev to start.
I want to get John with this. The trap is set. Yeah, get that pond started, John.
But John's so busy, Kev has to point out his little friend.
What's that? Oh, you bleeder. I like that one, I like that. That makes the job worth doing when you see something like that.
A mattress has been the real stumbling block in clearing the alleyway, but with that removed and all the other big stuff on the van, it looks like the rest of the horrible mess is going to be pretty easy going. In Dagenham, Pete is having a final attempt to deal with the infestation of cockroaches in one of the council's houses. He's now wheeling out his insecticide to hopefully give the cockroaches a real run for their money, but they're already fighting back.
I've actually got one on me there. I can feel it, I can't see it. I've got them all on my canister as well. Just all on you, ain't they? Alright, this is stuff I'm using, Fendona. We use them on cockroaches in big mass infestations. And as you can see, look, there's a pair here breeding. You know, we've got our work cut out.
So with no time to waste, Pete liberally sprays the Fendona all round the kitchen. The spray won't kill the cockroaches immediately, but should have a drastic effect on them over the next few weeks. He'll have to return in 3 weeks to take stock of how all his various poisons and traps have affected the roaches' population. Meantime, the tenant will just have to watch where he's putting the washing up. For Pete, though, it's vital that he doesn't take any of the roaches home with him. A quick look reveals one's already planning a bid for freedom, and there's also a few more on the pavement.
1 there, 2, 3.
Best then to meticulously check everywhere.
Basically, I've got a strip right down to virtually nothing. I might seem a bit OT over the top, but at the end of the day, you see the infestation in there. I don't want that in my house, so I prefer to take this procedure. I know I ain't got the best body, but there you go. This is the worst I've had. I've never had this many on me.
After spraying down not only himself but also the camera crew, Pete is pretty sure he isn't taking any presents home with him, so hopefully the infestation will remain solely in the unfortunate tenant's kitchen. In Dagenham, Simon's got the van up and running for Bill to jet the run and clear the sewer. Bill may have been soaked by the jet before, but there could be other potential problems in using the jet for the residents.
If you jet up into it wrong, you can go up to the slipper that goes into the people's house, like goes into the toilet, which that could be dangerous because then you end up blowing the toilet off the wall. But hopefully I'm too experienced enough not to do that. And hopefully no one's sitting on the toilet.
So Bill gives the jet a go, this time hopefully with no blowbacks. Soon enough, the froth in the run gives a clue as to the nature of the blockage.
Right, the smell was coming up into the lady's house 2 doors down. And what it is, a load of soap powder was blocking it.
With the run now clear of soap powder, a sense of satisfaction is in the air.
It's good when you get the actual job done, and if you do clear it, it is quite exciting really, because you've cleared the job.
All that's left now to do is for Bill to carefully return the tools of the trade to Simon over the fence.
Pass my friend the rod over there, like that.
Wrong un, in the motor.
The only downer on the day is after returning to the first job, the woman is still not in, so the boys will have to return another day, probably very soon. Up in Leicester, John and Kev have made short work of the fly tip under very difficult, cramped conditions. And to top things off, the boys are having to move a bicycle that a passer-by has parked in the alleyway without any consideration for what they're doing.
You've got to keep the taxpayers happy, John. Yeah. When you're trying to do a job like this, it needs doing, and to put obstacles in the way like that, it's not good, is it?
It's obvious what we're doing with the council and we're clearing the back alley out. What are we doing? I'm on the beach in Africa.
Whether the people appreciate their work or not, John and Kev have made a great job of the alleyway. Another illegal fly tip sorted, but for how long? At his favourite lakes on the outskirts of Wolverhampton, litter picker Lou has been soaking up the tranquility of his surroundings and enjoying a bumper haul of fish.
I think if a man's fishing for the day and he's catching fish, it puts a smile on his face.
As the peace and serenity of the early evening draws in, Lou's hooked one of his favourites.
I think it's a tench. Now, I haven't really told you, but tench is a fish that I love and absolutely adore to catch. Now look at that for a fish. It's so slimy, it's unbelievable. If you try and hold that, you won't hold it. Oh, just like a little snake. Words don't explain the feel of a tench to me. Go back, baby.
The passion for fishing was instilled in Lou by his 87-year-old father-in-law. For Lou, fishing is all about taking time to relax and reflect, always appreciating the city that he loves.
I've been in Wolverhampton since I was 18, which is a big part of my life. I'm in the 60s now. I've always liked to come back to Wolverhampton. Doesn't matter when I was working away from home. It was always lovely to come back to Wolverhampton.
You might think that working on the streets, dealing with the detritus of everyday life, might make him despair, but not a bit of it.
No, I'd never despair at any society. I'm just glad to be here myself. We're all equal, we're all the same, we're all born the same, we'll all go out the same. I just enjoy life.
Since the filming of the show, Peter's returned to the cockroach house, but alas, there's more work to do. On their return, Bill and Simon eventually got access to the block sewer, and John and Kev's alley is still as clean as they left it.